Another day, two blue chip recruits for the Red Raiders. They are just absolutely owning the portal. In today's live video, we'll discuss the two newest Red Raiders. Are the Red Raiders done in the portal? Maybe not quite yet, but we'll also look at how this class is shaped up in terms of nationally and how it seems like every publication has the Red Raiders as the number one team in terms of their portal haul so far. What is up, everybody? RC Maxfield here for the Back to 12 podcast, and I'm gonna be honest with you. This doesn't get old in terms of Texas Tech going out and adding some of these players in terms of, one specifically that we'll talk about in today's show where I thought he was a pipe dream when he was mentioned. Instead, he committed to Texas Tech today. And then you get a guy that has played at multiple other schools, but that has true NFL type potential on your defense. I mean, just an unbelievable unbelievable type stuff by Texas Tech. So if you're excited about this Texas Tech football program and this portal class specifically, and I don't know how you couldn't be excited about this, all I'm going to ask you to do is simply like the video. Let's give a couple shout outs, see who's in here. We've got Grayson saying, what a time to be a Red Raider. Grayson, it's always a great time to be a Red Raiders, but sometimes they're more special than others, and this one right here is definitely one of those times. This is unreal, to say the least. Chris, appreciate you tuning in, man. Justin, what's good, RC? I'm a little tired, but I'm going to push through. I'm going to push through for y'all tonight to talk about this just absolutely ridiculous, in the best way possible, I might add, portal class by the Red Raiders. Hey, RC, another day, another blue chip. Technically two. Crazy type stuff. Of course, I'm graduating in May. Won't be able to go to every game. Man, tough scenes. I'm definitely jealous of every kid out there. We've got Corey in here, Stuart, Scott, Justin, and Joe. Again, appreciate y'all spending some of y'all's Thursday night here with me. Again, this has been kind of crazy. Real quick, before we jump into the two latest commitments, a sincere thank you. I know I gave some last night too in terms of thanks to everybody, but sincere thank you to everybody that's tuned into content this month. This has by far been the best viewership we've had in a month here on the podcast. Over 100,000 viewers so far. I think we're probably going to get close to about 135,000 by the time it's done. So sincere thank you to each and every one of you that tune in and everything like that. It's really been a special month, chaotic month, but really enjoy putting all this content out for you guys. And sincere thank you to each and every one of you. So again, best way to support the channel if you want more 100% free content is like the video, hit that subscribe button. All right, let's jump into it because enough with this promo type shit. I'm sure y'all are saying, well, some of y'all, I actually got a comment earlier today that I'm going to have to block you on YouTube because you cursed. Get the fuck out of here. Anyway, Romelo Height. That was the first commitment of the day. This was a guy that had been, it'd been a while. Like it felt like there was that, what was it called? Crystal ball. I don't know why that was a hard thing for me to remember, but there was a crystal ball before he was even in the portal, right? Tampering. Everybody's doing it. Some are just doing it better than others. Shout out to Texas Tech, right? And when I say tampering, that usually means like he has an agent reaching out to schools like, hey, how much you going to pay? And then we'll hop in the portal if the number's right. I think that's probably what happened in terms of the role and the number fit, whatever Romello was looking for. Anyway, edge rusher, 6'3", 240. Matt Zenitz of 247 Sports was the one that broke the news that he would indeed commit to Texas Tech. He was also the one that put in that initial crystal ball, so no surprise there. On3 has him ranked as the 37th best edge in the portal, which is interesting because if you go to 247 Sports, he's ranked as the 25th overall player and 5th best player in terms of edge in this class. Wide range there. I will admit I'm an on-3 guy, but I don't know if I necessarily, agree with them on this evaluation. Arguably the Yellow Jackets' best pass rusher in 2024. I don't know if it's arguably from a lot of what I've seen in the discourse on social media. Again, probably not the entire picture, but a lot of fans were pretty upset that Texas Tech landed Romelo Height, excuse me. 34 tackles, 2.5 sacks, an interception. PFF has him ranked as the number 6th overall defensive player on a really good Georgia Tech defense. He actually had the game-winning sack against Miami that basically forced Miami, after their loss to Syracuse, to not make the college football playoff. Started his career at Auburn, then decided, you know what, I need some Southern California in my life. Transferred to USC, and then he was like, you know what, I need some of the Atlantic Ocean close by. Transferred to Georgia Tech, and now he's like, you know what, I'm going to move to the best time zone there is in America, the Central Time Zone. And he's back and playing in Texas, and it will be at Texas Tech. Really, really excited about him because I think he's a chess piece for this Shieldwood defense. Is he the best pass rusher in the Big 12? No, I don't think that that's the case. But the traits that he has and the way that Shieldwood uses guys like him is going to be fascinating. And the interesting part is, too, this may be crazy to say because, again, these guys played at Auburn, USC, and Georgia Tech. Hear what I'm about to say, and it's very real. I don't think he's played with the amount of talent on a defensive line that he's going to get to play with at Texas Tech. Take a second. I know. Take a quick second. I did just say that. Yes. I don't think Romelo Height, a guy that has literally played at Auburn and USC, has played with the amount of talent that he will play with on the Texas Tech defensive line anywhere else in his college career. Again, Lee Hunter, you've got Holmes, and then you've also got, multiple other guys, including Skylar Gill-Howard, who you landed in the portal. You've got Duda Banks coming back, right? Like, it's unfortunate that you lose a guy like Trayvon McAlpine, who's going to go to the portal, but he will play in the bowl game. But, like, Texas Tech is loaded on the defensive line, and I haven't even talked about guys like Harvey Dyson, Dylan Spencer, other guys as well, Joseph Adedire. I always seem to forget Joseph Adedire, not on purpose. I just do sometimes. But this defensive line is now a strength of this roster, and Romelo Height is definitely a guy that improves it, and I'm very interested to see how Shieldwood uses a guy where, is he a perennial first-round NFL draft pick? No, he's not that. He's honestly kind of a tweener. We talked about him yesterday on the multiple lives that we did. Just another good reason to like and subscribe to the channel if you want as much Texas Tech content as you can really handle for free. But I said he's kind of a tweener in the sense of, like, he doesn't have the Tyree Wilson, Miles Cole size, but he's also bigger than the Jacob Rodriguez at a traditional linebacker. He's a guy that you can use in multiple places, and I think when you look at it, I think he's probably going to play a lot of the dog position in this 3-4 Shieldwood defense. And that dog position is kind of the plays up front as a rusher, but also can be disguised to drop back into coverage to confuse the quarterback. So this is a phenomenal get by Texas Tech. Again, I'm probably closer to the 247 sports ranking, which has him again as like a top 25 or at least top 50 player in this portal cycle, and like a top 5 edge than the On3 that has him as the 37th best edge. I think he's probably somewhere closer to the top 5, probably actually in that top 12 range in terms of edge in this portal cycle. But the Red Raiders definitely landed an impact guy on the edge, and a guy that has true NFL pedigree, and something that we haven't really seen in terms of a really, really athletic edge. And don't hear what I'm not saying. Tyree Wilson is better. I think Miles Cole is better in terms of a traditional edge, but like a versatile edge. Texas Tech hasn't had one of these in quite a long time. Like, I'm trying to think of the last guy that was like versatile like this, that really got after the quarterback at a high rate and created mismatches in coverage as well, that could stay with the running back, could stay with the tight end and defend one. I'm not saying that's his strong suit, but he can do it. So it's very interesting, to say the least, in terms of his addition. Very interesting in terms of a positive light. This is a guy that I was super excited about when Texas Tech was linked to him. So really, really good pickup by the Red Raiders. All right. I know this for sure. There's about 75 people watching right now. I know we don't have 75 likes. I know for damn sure right now y'all are excited about this next guy I'm talking about. So like the damn video, because my goodness, this guy is a bona fide star and a guy that I thought was a pipe dream for the Red Raiders to land. And by now you have probably heard the news that Texas Tech has landed USC running back, Quinton Joiner, the Manor, Texas native. My goodness. This was a pipe dream in my opinion, I didn't think this was going to be able to happen, but credit to Cody Campbell, all the other donors, Joey McGuire, James Blanchard for going out there and being aggressive and getting a guy where you beat out Ohio State. Think about that for a second, Texas Tech fans. You beat out Ohio State for a running back. That's the truth. No one can say differently. He had other offers, but listen, Ohio State thought that they were going to get him, and instead you do. He's 5'11", 216, redshirt freshman season this past year, 63 carries, 478 yards, 3 touchdowns, led the Big Ten in yards per carry at 7.6, 3 years of eligibility remaining. He also went to the same high school as Taj Brooks, as you may know. Also, I want to make sure I get this right. There was another Texas Tech player that he went to high school with. If y'all will drop that in the chat, if y'all know who it is right now, by all means. But there's another one he went to high school with. I want to make sure I get it correct. Jaden Cofield. Boom. There you go. Jaden Cofield too. And Jaden Cofield's coming back. That's another great defensive lineman. Anyway, I digress. Joiner is viewed across the board as a top 5 running back in this portal class. He is built like a bowling ball, but has home run potential every time he touches the football. I don't know what his 40 is. I don't know if there's a real accurate time out there right now for that. I would guess to say it's probably at least 4.45. I mean, he's quick. He is quick. And again, we talked about it a little bit when we were discussing him yesterday on the lives. Is he the best pass rusher in terms of pass pro guy from that perspective? I don't think so yet, but he has all the tools to be, and I think that he will vastly improve as his time continues at Texas Tech. And now you have a 3-headed monster in the backfield where I really think you could potentially have it to where I think Joiner will end up being RB1, but I think that there's a real situation where it's like an RB1A, RB1B, RB1C with a 3-headed monster of Joiner, Williams, and Dickey, right? Like that's what you need to have in today's, modern college football is high-level players 1 through 3 on your depth chart where there is not a significant drop-off at all. And Texas Tech has that. I mean, he's phenomenal. Go watch the tape. It felt like every time he touched the football, and I mean, he averaged it damn near. It felt like he was getting 8, 9, 10 yards a carry. I mean, it was crazy watching him play out at USC. And to be fair, I don't know if y'all know this, USC was not good this year, but he was a very big bright spot for that offense and one that I thought Lincoln Riley should have probably used a little bit more. But hey, another man's trash is another man's treasure. And I think everybody in Red Raider Nation is absolutely ecstatic to have him in the running back room. And shout out to Taj Brooks, too. He was instrumental in getting Quinton Joiner to be a Red Raider. Instrumental. He's not only a Red Raider legend on the field, he's also a really good recruiter, it comes to find out. And it sounds like, as it stands right now, according to Joey McGuire, we could see Taj Brooks play in the Liberty Bowl. Is there a chance that he doesn't? Yes. And I would love to see Taj Brooks play again. Don't hear what I'm not saying. But just for his NFL future, I almost wonder if it's better for him not to, just to make sure there isn't that injury there, because he's for sure getting drafted. And running back is just one of those difficult spots where, like, you get hit wrong one time and boom, there it goes. And he just doesn't have any eligibility left. So, for his future, I'm almost wondering if he doesn't play almost in a way. But as of right now, he's been going through every practice, according to Joey McGuire, has Taj Brooks. And now you get another Manor Texas running back, this time in Quinton Joiner from USC. Big time. I mean, just big time commitment for Texas Tech. And so was Romelo Height. I mean, just unbelievable job. And we'll look at the rankings here in just a second But let's give a couple of shout outs and answer a couple questions before we do that. Again, if you want your question answered, just drop it in the chat and be sure to like the video and hit that subscribe button. That's all I really ask for. Let's see here. I pray Mo Horn stays. I think he will. I think Mo Horn is still going to be an instrumental part of the cornerback position for Texas Tech. He's really good. Is there a lot more competition? Yeah, but I mean, if we're being honest about it, like Texas Tech needed to have competition. The DBs were trash, right? Like you had to go out and address that position, and you did so in a major way, taking 5 guys and adding them to your secondary. Big time stuff. Let's see. I'm really excited for our defense next year. Not something I've ever really expected to say. Yeah, Justin, I'm right there with you, man. Especially after your defense went what? It was the 3rd worst Power 4 defense in the country last year. Thank God for Mississippi State and Oklahoma State. And then you were the 3rd worst. I don't think you're going to have that issue with Shield Wood. And now you have just an embarrassment of riches at really all 3 levels of your defense. Most notably, the one that I think matters the most. I love the linebackers, don't get me wrong, but your defensive line is stacked. I mean, Jaden Cofield, I could make the argument that Jaden Cofield is your 5th best defensive tackle or interior defensive lineman. Think about that for a second. Jaden Cofield, who actually played pretty damn well this year, right? And then you have Duda, who's coming off of an injury, sure, maybe at 4. And then you have a guy in Skylar Gill Howard, who I was really high on if y'all watched the video in terms of his commitment update. Like, I would have just been happy if they landed him. He's your 3rd best defensive tackle, right? And then you go out and get Holmes Jr., who was 3rd in the Big 12 in pressures. And the only reason he's not your best interior defensive lineman is because you went and got the guy that was 1st in the Big 12 in pressures in Lee Hunter. I mean, just phenomenal stuff from Texas Tech, and how really it's been a total 180 in the sense of what is a strength on your team now. Unreal type stuff for the Red Raiders. Just unreal type stuff. Super excited as well. Kevin, man, I really like your podcast. I've been following you for over a year. Keep up the awesome work. Let's go Red Raiders, guns up. I appreciate the kind words, Kevin, and I appreciate you tuning in for over 365 days. Really appreciate that. By the way, I got an update on the channel. This channel's been around for 3 years. Almost 11,500 subscribers. Unreal. Never thought this would happen. So, again, I know I thanked y'all earlier, but again, seriously, thank y'all for all of this. This is never in my wildest dreams did I expect this. Reese, this might be an odd question, but where do you find most of your game film? I'm having a hard time finding film on guys like Height, Zambrano, and others. Zambrano was the most difficult one for me. I actually found it on Twitter. I'm trying to remember the guy's name. He commented on a couple of my things. If I can remember his name, I will. I don't want to put a false name out there in terms of give somebody credit for this guy's work. But there's a really good guy that does a lot of film breakdown of mid-major players. I'm sure if you went out and you went and searched, on Twitter, Texas Tech is getting all of my favorite, mid-major players, or Reggie Virgil film study. That's a guy that does a really good job. I forget his name again. Just search that on Twitter. And then most of the time I find it here on YouTube or PFF. PFF has some film stuff as well. So that's really where I get my film from, to answer your question. Jay, I feel like recruiting in video games after you have logged. Yeah, I'm definitely in my what's it called era, the CEO era on this stuff. So yeah, there's that for sure. Justin, drill baby drill. Yeah, absolutely. Keep doing it for sure. First home run back since Stockton. That from Lucas. Trying to think. First home run back since then. I'm thinking, yeah, you're probably right. You're probably right. In terms of traditional home run back, I'm trying to think, do you consider White a traditional home run hitting back? I don't really think so, but I think, yeah, probably from the traditional sense, you're probably right with Stockton. Does Cameron Valdez still have a role here? Phenomenal question. I don't even want to say yes or no or maybe or anything like that, but I would say that role is probably smaller. That's for sure. Extra, think we finally get ranked nationally in preseason polls? And if so, what rank do you think? 15? I don't know if you get ranked, but I will say I feel very comfortable saying that Texas Tech has a top 25 roster in the country. I'll say that. I don't know if they're ranked, though. Him be signed with Indiana? I don't know. I haven't kept track of that. By the way, I saw that somebody messaged me and said that the Himby stuff wasn't real. Like, it was real. They reached out to him, right? Like, maybe with the crystal ball for the guy that put it in was wrong, but Tech reached out. I mean, I don't know. That was weird to me to hear that. Like, was it, again, we even mentioned it yesterday, was it likely that they were going to sign both? No. If they could get Joiner, they were going to take Joiner. That was what that was going to be, for sure. What defensive scheme do you think we run next year? It's a 3-4, Grayson. Yeah, Shieldwood runs a 3-4, kind of like a multiple front. Like, you could run, it's categorized as a 3-4, could be viewed as a 4-3 at some points, but really it's a traditional or multi-front 3-4, if that makes sense. And what that means is, Romelo Height is going to be a guy that can put his hand in the ground, or he's going to be a guy that stands up as a traditional outside linebacker edge, and then you have 3 down linemen, if that makes sense. So that's kind of where it is. 2025, I'd say. I don't really know if I care if they're ranked or not, to be honest. Probably not. I really don't give a shit. But from a talent, I care more about how good this roster is. And Justin, I'm not trying to call you out on asking why or where they'd be ranked. It's more so I care more about the talent on the roster, and I think that they have a top 20, top 25 talented roster in the country, which is crazy. Kevin, what's going on with the kicker situation? Great question, Kevin. Thank you for bringing that up. There's a guy you need to look at who I think will end up being the guy that they get. Let me get his name. His name is Upton Belenfant. I believe he's at Buffalo. Yeah. He won Special Teams Player of the Year, according to College Football Live. I don't know what that is. But he was also a member of the All-MAC team, third teamer. Yeah, Upton Belenfant is his name. It's spelled Upton, just like BJ Upton, the baseball player. So Upton, and then Bell, EN, and then Fant, FANT. I think that's the guy that they probably land in terms of the kicker situation, since the other guy that they looked at, I believe he went to Cincinnati. Height still concerns me from an effort standpoint, hired gun, but I still like the upside. Yeah, and I get that. I get the concern about Height, but also at the same time, like, if he wants to play in the NFL and get drafted, he's going to play for you 100% this year. I'm not questioning the effort at all. It's just more so like, hey, does he live up to that 4-star potential and the opportunity that he's going to have? And I think he probably does in a lot of ways. But he going to play for you. I promise you that. I think there was only 2-3 players we didn't lock up that ended up coming to Lubbock for a visit. Yeah, and the reason that is because you ended up getting better players. Just being honest, like, you got better players. Like, part of that is because you got a Terrion Grant. Part of that is because you got a guy like Lee Hunter, because you got a guy like Holmes Jr., because you got a guy like Skylar Gill Howard. Like, that's the reality of it. That's the reason you didn't have 100% hit rate on the guys that visited Lubbock, is because you ended up getting some better guys on campus and you got those guys instead. That's the reason why. Guy in the replies of all the Texas Tech tweets trying to be the next Matt Williams. I'm going to be honest with you. I have seen that. That's funny. In terms of trying to be a walk-on kicker. Hey, good for you. Shoot your shot, man. Here's the thing. I always tell people about shooting a shot. You may miss, but the beautiful thing about shooting a shot, at least you have a chance. If you don't even shoot, you already have the no right there. That's all I'm saying. BJ Upton is a deep cut, my guy. Well, baseball is one of my favorite sports. Big fantasy baseball guy right here. Probably a nerd about it. Do you see blue bloods clutching their pearls in demand change in NIL and transfer portal? Well, there's going to be a change to the NIL already, and that's when the revenue sharing kicks in a little bit. There will be a little bit of a change there and some new nuances. But, I mean, the thing I think more so that these blue bloods and quote-unquote prestigious conferences, looking at you, SEC and Big Ten, I think that what is going to change the landscape of college football more is the fact of they're going to want their own playoff, and they're going to want to not their own playoff. They're going to want to dictate how the playoff is run. And they didn't like the fact of how it was run this year. And so, yeah, I think that there's going to be some changes on that front, but I don't think it's going to be because of like NIL or anything like that. I think that that's already changed a little bit, and going to be probably a little bit more interesting to watch in terms of the revenue sharing. And Texas Tech has been pretty transparent about all that in terms of, I believe it's like 91.4% of all revenue in terms of the sharing aspect of it is going to go for football and men's basketball. So, yeah. I'm hoping at least he gets a tryout. There you go. Going to sit tight and wait on these guys in the playoff teams to go portaling. That's where I expect a slot receiver, rotational back, offensive line depth. Well, I don't think you're going to add another offensive lineman. I think right now, as it stands, again, I might butcher his name. I'll learn how to say it eventually. Will Jados, I think is going to be your right tackle right now, because I think what Texas Tech is going to try and do, I don't think they're banking on it, but they are going to, because they can still have that portal opportunity post-spring. Remember that. There will be players that go in the portal post-spring, but what they're going to do is try and really, really go hard after that 5-star offensive tackle from Denton Ryan named Ty Haywood. I think that that's what they're going to try and do, and if he does commit to Texas Tech, I think that that's your starting right tackle in 2025 as a true freshman, even if he does show up to campus in the summer. I think that that's their plan more than anything. Maybe you get a slot receiver in the portal. I don't know if you do it now, though. I think that they probably wait more than anything and see maybe even if it's the post-playoff teams or if it's spring, because you're going to lose guys in the spring, right? Like your roster limit, you got to get down to 105, right? But spring changes it a little bit in terms of like you're going to lose guys in the spring if they don't win a job, right? Like you're going to lose guys to the portal then too. And so you're going to have an opportunity in that portal window to go out and potentially land, a slot wide receiver, or, okay, maybe this position didn't look as good as we thought it did in spring camp. Let's go add somebody, right? So I think that that's really what they're doing. Ole Miss kids should fill right tackle, but that Ole Miss line was rough. Yeah, I mean, I don't think he's coming to Tech. I think that the plan is right now, and maybe he does, but I think the plan is they're going to go after Ty Haywood with hyper aggression and try and land him. Let's see. Kyle saying RC over here working overtime. How about that RB room with Quinton Joiner? I'm pretty stoked, with all the talent Tech is stacking. Yeah, no, I mean, you've drastically changed your roster. I mean, let's go ahead and look at that, shall we? This is the updated portal rankings from On3. So let's go ahead and take a deep dive in here. Go ahead and look. We'll just strictly go to the transfers in here for Texas Tech. You already see you've got Quinton Joiner. Again, I don't know how they have him ranked as just a 3-star, Romelo Height. Then you've got Terrion Grant. You've got Howard Sampson, Lee Hunter. They finally added Anthony Holmes, and I don't agree with the ranking there. I think he should be a little higher, but again, opinion. Terrence Carter, you got Mitch Griffs, Amir Boyd Matthews, Skylar Gill Howard, Reggie Virgil. You've got Bryce Pollock. You've got Dante Balfour, Cole Wisniewski, and then you've got Hunter Zambrano. So again, if you want to look at these guys from the standpoint of let's rank them in order, and we'll just look at the On3 one right here. So you've got blue chip players. Remember, a blue chip player. Oh, need to take the transfers in aspect on it. And there we go. Okay. Blue chip means 4 or 5-star. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, damn near 10. If he literally was 0.02 higher, he would be a 4-star. And you would have 10 blue chip players. And if you look at 247, they have Romelo Height as a blue chip player, as a 4-star. Again, 25th nationally ranked player, 5th at his position. There is a huge disconnect in difference between these two talent evaluation sites and On3 and 247 when it comes to Romelo Height. So I'm going to go ahead and say they have 10 blue chip players. 10. That is unfreaking real. All right. Now, I also want to look at this because, bam, not done yet. Not done yet, people. I'm going to go ahead and pause this video. But you have 7 4-stars here, and you're clearly in the lead right now, a good 8-point difference. And yes, you do have more, players there in terms of that, but that's to be expected. We look at this, and let's see if we can put them in order from top. Well, I guess you have to have wow, really bad stuff right here by 247 in terms of how this is operating. Anyway, you got Romelo Height, as we mentioned. You got Lee Hunter. Skylar Gill-Howard is lower on this site. So is Howard Sampson, but Terrence Carter still a 4-star. Bryce is still a 4-star. Reggie's still a 4-star. Quinton Joiner is a 4-star. Somehow they have Terrion Grant as just a 3-star, which is absolutely criminal in my opinion. But again, you get the overall gist of everything from this in the sense that when you look at this, Texas Tech has the number 1 portal class right now. Is this going to change? Yeah, probably. It'll probably change. But overall, I mean, the acquisition of talent is the thing that stands out to me more than anything, right? Like now, when you look at Texas Tech, we talked about expectations yesterday. Joey McGuire has been saying, it's the Big 12 title. That's what we're after. We're after a Big 12 championship. Like, I never really thought the roster was good enough to actually get there. Now I think it is. And now I think it's the expectation. Like, it almost feels like it's going to be a disappointment if Texas Tech does not play in Arlington next year for a Big 12 title. With the amount of resources you put into this portal class to address major areas of need, and not just the resources you put into this portal class, but the level of talent that you acquired in the portal. Again, we're talking about 10 blue chip players. That doesn't happen very often, right? In terms of adding 10 blue chip guys. And blue chip players, typically when you look at the ratio of how many blue chip players you have on your roster compared to the teams that win, typically the teams that have a high blue chip ratio are the ones playing for titles in their respective conferences. And now Texas Tech has elevated that ratio for themselves exponentially. Okay, so you did so in a major way. You went out there and you added in the 2 most important positions, really 3 most important position groups, I should say, in the offensive line, defensive line, and secondary, whichever group you want to put in terms of 1, 2, 3 there, whatever scenario or order you want, by all means, I think you have an argument there. But I think everybody would agree those were the 3 areas of need in terms of biggest needs for Texas Tech in this portal class. And you go out and add 5 players to your secondary. You go out and add 4 players on your defensive line, including Romelo Height there. And then you go out and you add 3 players on your offensive line as well, 2 that are blue chip players. And one of those guys in Hunter Zambrano is viewed by On3 as the best interior offensive lineman in this portal class. Like, you went out and got bona fide stars, okay? And that's something where, some people are going to say, oh, well, why didn't they go out and get more Power 5 players, yada, yada, yada. Well, listen, I don't give a shit where they come from. If they're good players, they're good players. And Texas Tech went out and got damn good players. At the end of the day, that's all that matters, right? Hunter Zambrano is a good player. right? Howard Sampson, good player. You go out and you get Quinton Joiner. We know, good player. Reggie Virgil played at Miami of Ohio, but every wide receiver needy team in the country wanted him, including you, Oklahoma, and we don't speak broke at Texas Tech. Got him. Okay, so it's like, I get the argument early on, at least, like, RC, why are we not signing, these guys that are playing in bigger conferences? Well, I think they did a pretty damn good job. If you're complaining about this portal class, I don't know what to tell you. Dang, breaking news for Texas Tech football. They have another portal entry, and it is on that defensive line. It's actually in the edge room. It is that of Harvey Dyson. That is from Pete Nakos of On 3. He says that Texas Tech linebacker Harvey Dyson plans to enter the transfer portal. According to On 3, he had 17 career tackles, 2.5 sacks, and a forced fumble. I thought Harvey Dyson actually played really, really well this year at times for the Red Raiders. But, again, breaking news right there. Harvey Dyson, according to Pete Nakos, plans to enter the portal. And if we're being honest about it, and I don't want to sound, too harsh, it makes sense, right? Like, you just added a bunch of dudes to your defensive line. You've got some edge rushers coming back in terms of Dylan Spencer, Amir Washington, guys like that. I get it. I really do. In terms of Harvey Dyson, in terms of your defensive line and edge rushers, was probably what? And this is not any shade to him. It's really not. 10th best player? Which is crazy to say now, but that tells you how well they did in terms of talent acquisition. But 9th, 10th best player? I think that's probably where you're at, to be honest with you. We got 120 people here in the live right now. Be sure to like the video, hit that subscribe button. It's 100% free, and it really just helps us. So if you're enjoying the content, you want to help out an independent creator here in the Texas Tech space and myself, all I really ask you to do in terms of the easiest way to support the channel, like the video, hit that subscribe button. If you want to hop in the chat, by all means as well. But likes and subscribers really go a long way in terms of helping the channel. And the best part about it, again, it's 100% free. So really appreciate it. All right. If we got any questions, by all means, drop them in the chat. Appreciate everyone spending some of their Thursday night with me. We'll go as long as there's questions in the chat. We'll tell you that. We've got Lucas saying, I don't think player development matters as much in the portal era. If you're a 3-star or lower guy, you're better off going mid-major, G5 school, and playing, and then going P4 once you're more college ready. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Also, thank you for bringing that up a little bit. It's a roundabout way of a point that I forgot to mention. Really interesting ruling in college football yesterday. For those that don't know, Pievo Pavia at Vanderbilt, quarterback there, started his career at least at the FBS level at New Mexico State. Obviously was the lead quarterback, QB1 for the Commodores when they upset Alabama this year there in Nashville. He had an interesting case go through in his favor, and it affects college football quite a bit. And what is that case? As it stands right now, JUCO does not count against your eligibility. How does that impact the Red Raiders, you may ask? Well, funny enough, it could impact Texas Tech on the offensive line. And not for, a player that doesn't matter or anything. No, instead, a starter that was arguably your second best offensive lineman for the latter half of the season. And Davon Carter actually started his career in a JUCO, played at Memphis, then transferred to Texas Tech. If this ruling continues, there would be an opportunity for Davon Carter, if he didn't want to go to the next step in his life in terms of the NFL, to return to Texas Tech for one more year of eligibility and be a right guard or an interior offensive lineman for Texas Tech. There's a chance that happens. Now, there's a lot more legal hurdles that this has to go through, but as it stands right now with, I believe, the injunction or the ruling or whatever the legalese term is, Davon Carter technically has one more year of eligibility. So there's that. That's something to pay attention to in terms of Texas Tech potentially maybe having Carter at right guard and then Zambrano at right tackle. Maybe. I don't know. But again, you can never have too many good offensive linemen and proven offensive linemen. As we saw this year, Texas Tech had injuries left and right and guys that just simply didn't produce. So if you can have a guy like Davon Carter in the mix there and returning, that would be huge. There's no doubt about that. Dylan asks, can you name a few players that we are after or are visiting? Really, Dylan, there's nobody visiting right now. Joey McGuire basically said, like, hey, once we get our kicker, we're probably going to stand back a little bit, reevaluate things after the bowl game. The portal will be dead at that point, but then they'll have guys come onto campus in January. I believe report date is January 14th. Don't quote me on that, but I believe it's January 14th in terms of that's when their first official meeting is for the spring for football. They'll go through spring camp. They'll really be hyper aggressive at potentially landing 5-star offensive lineman Ty Haywood. And then they'll reevaluate things in the portal next cycle where there will inevitably be Red Raiders entering, and there will be a guy or two that Texas Tech adds. That's just the nature of the beast, right? But yeah, that's kind of where they stand. I think once they land the kicker, and it sounds like that he may already be a silent commit, that will be 17 portal players for Texas Tech. And yeah, again, the guy's name is Upton Belenfant. Yeah, that sounds right. Belenfant. Upton Belenfant. He's from Buffalo. That's the name to watch in terms of the potential new kicker for the Red Raiders in 2025. All right, let's see. Old alumni, JD, checking in from Cozumel. Good job. Appreciate you, JD. And enjoy Cozumel. I'm very jealous. Very, very jealous of that. Connor, I personally was against the NIL era, but hey, if they're going to have it, I'm glad we're exploiting it. Yeah, I mean, I think it's funny to see how the narrative has changed around that. My biggest qualm with NIL more than anything is that the NCAA is spineless and has no idea how to be an authoritative leader in terms of actually setting any precedent or actually setting any guardrails or any rules that are actually worth a damn. The NCAA is stupid and honestly awful. All right, done with the TED Talk and talking shit about them. That was my biggest thing with the NIL era. I always knew if Texas Tech had the opportunity, people were going to find out how rich some of these people were in terms of how much oil money Texas Tech actually had, right? Like, they were going to find out. I didn't know if they'd find out to this kind of degree. I think anybody that told you that Texas Tech would have this kind of portal class and land the level of talent, again, 10 blue chip guys, 10, okay? They'd be lying to you. But they did, and it's huge for Texas Tech, and I'm all for it now. I'm all for it. What happened to the defensive lineman from Post? You're talking about Isaiah Crawford, I think, Scott. He's still on the roster. So he battled injuries, and now it's more so just making sure his body's right. He could have a chance to potentially play in 2025. I think there's going to be a lot of competition, and I think he'll be firmly in the mix for that competition. But he's an edge rusher, not a defensive lineman. He's an edge guy. So he'll probably be competing and for snaps either on the same side with Romelo Height or the opposite side in terms of that edge rusher. So we'll see where that goes. But yeah, Isaiah Crawford's still the 4-star edge from Post a couple years back. He's still on the roster, just had an injury, worked his way back, trying to put on some weight and really get some actual reps there in practice. And he should be a guy that potentially makes an impact next year for the Red Raiders. Michael, low-key glad we didn't spend that money on Hudson based on how the portal is going. Yeah, I mean, I don't even know if that Hudson thing is real. I don't know if anybody does, to be honest. It's interesting to talk about for sure. And if A&M did do that, they're absolutely insane. Some of those demands are just lunatic, like Looney Tune land type shit. We're talking like Michael Jordan or whoever hit the golf ball into the damn thing. Of course, it was Michael Jordan. He was the one that got pulled through the golf hole in Space Jam. What am I talking about here? Looney Tune type stuff. But Texas Tech was going to spend money regardless. Even if Micah Hudson returned and they gave him more money, like they were going to spend this kind of money regardless. I can promise you that. But I think it put almost a little bit more of an emphasis in terms of, I don't think they'll ever admit it. But I wonder if it did even subconsciously, where it's like, all right, we're about to prove this guy. Like, all right, you guys can be upset. Lord knows I was over here saying it was a malpractice that they lost Micah Hudson. And again, hand up for accountability, proving me wrong. Good job, guys. Good job, Cody Campbell. Good job, Joey McGuire. And everybody else involved, good job for proving me wrong. I ain't going to be 100% right all the time on this channel. I promise you that. I talk too much to be right all the time. But they were going to be hyper aggressive anyway. And they had a plan and they stuck to it and they did an absolutely sensational job. Beer man, appreciate you. I might have a beer after this. Need to cook dinner. Yeah, I got like a 6-pack of Dose in the fridge. I'll probably start drinking that tonight. Don't got to go into the office until after the new year. So yeah, that sounds like a good plan. Thank you for your name to remind me I have beer. Anyway, your question, given all the injuries in the opening of the new training center, do you expect more focus on conditioning and nutrition? Absolutely. Yeah, I think that played a part. It's interesting because in the modern era of college football, I think NIL is at the forefront. And, even really like 5 years ago before NIL was a thing, what was really driving recruits outside of obviously on the field success? It was training facilities. It was, just facilities in general, right? And Texas Tech now has the combination of they're headed in the right direction on the field, right? They also have just bukus of oil money. Shout out to Double Eagle. Also, go buy your shirts if you can possibly do so for the I Will. All the proceeds, as I understand it, go to the Matador Club. So that's pretty cool. Again, if you can afford it, good Christmas present gift. Got one for myself, father-in-law and brother-in-law. Highly recommend it. It's over on my Twitter if you want to check it out. And then you have the state-of-the-art facilities, right? Like that's a triple threat. Joey McGuire even mentioned today in a press conference how everyone that came through that building was just like, holy crap, coach. Like we've seen multiple other schools across the country and nothing compares to the Womble football facility. And they're right. I mean, that place is a cathedral damn near now for Texas Tech football. It's amazing. Old Texas Tech, man, I hope you don't lose any more defensive players to the portal because of possible injuries. Yeah, I mean, you got a lot of depth there. It kind of sucks that you're losing a guy like Harvey Dyson. I like him quite a bit, but at the end of the day, this is the nature of the beast. You go out and you accrue the type of talent that the Red Raiders did. Some of these guys that were playing significant snaps for you last year on a bad defensive line that are solid players are going to get pushed down and inevitably want to go have a chance to play somewhere else. It's just the nature of the beast. Who do you think will be our go-to slot guy? Volson, someone in the next portal cycle, someone else. I think it'll probably be Volson. Yeah, I think that's who it's probably going to be. I think it'll be him. I think you'll see a mixture of guys, though, whether it's Coy Aiken, Caleb Payday Douglas, even Terrence Carter Jr., John Carlos Miller. I think you're going to see a multitude of guys, but I think Kelby probably has the best chance for sure. Crack a cold one for Cody Campbell. I'll crack a cold one for Cody Campbell and all of Red Raider Nation. You best damn believe it. It's been a hell of a ride these past few weeks. Let's hope SMU doesn't take note of paying players. They already are. Listen, SMU's got a lot of money, right? Like they do. Don't get me wrong. SMU is one school I ain't calling broke. Unlike Oklahoma, broke. We don't speak poor. Anyway, but Texas Tech, they got money too, and they're flexing on it right now for sure. Red Raider Mitch, it's Pollock. Not according to his Twitter. According to his Twitter, it is pronounced POE-LOCK. Pollock. That's how it's pronounced. Like, again, there's a tweet about it. If you scroll through his Twitter, that's how he pronounces it. I'm just being honest. and looking at his Twitter. I'll go look at it right now just to make sure I'm not crazy. But yeah, I mean, that was the way that he pronounced it. So I thought that was the way that he wanted it said as my watch goes off. Let me go look down here and see if I can find it again, so I can show you guys real quick. Let me see. I know this is just thoroughly entertaining for sure. Thoroughly entertaining stuff. Let's see. I might have passed it already. Yeah. My name is actually pronounced Poe, Poe - lock, as in lock the door. Just heard some fans were wondering. So there you go. No, Red Raider Mitch, please correct me if I'm wrong. Lord knows that I get some names wrong. Shout out to Will. I don't know how to pronounce his last name still. Jados, whatever it is. No, don't feel bad at all. No worries at all. I try and get every name right, but Lord knows I will be messing some up. That is for sure. All right, let's see. Paying players is how SMU is in the playoffs. Absolutely. Absolutely it is. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, that's how a lot of teams are in the playoffs right now. Like, Oregon's in the playoffs because they pay players. They're the number one team in the country because they pay players, but also they have a phenomenal culture and they're a destination as well in terms of a brand. So there's levels to it, obviously, in terms of different brands and everything like that. But everybody's paying players. There's just different, tiers to it, I guess you could say. Our schedule is in our favor next year. 2 tough road games with Kansas State and Arizona State, but I think you can win at least one of those games out of the conference. Isn't the worst as well. No, your out of conference is an absolute joke, and I'm absolutely okay with it because the committee has shown as long as you have wins, like 10 wins, you're probably in a great chance to do something. It is what it is at that front. So you play Arkansas Pine Bluff in game number 1, then you play Kent State, and then you play, funny enough, Murphy, the quarterback that started at UT, went to Duke. He's now the Oregon State quarterback, and that's who you play in week 3, and then your Big 12 schedule starts, and you go to Arizona State, as you mentioned, Kansas State. Where else do you go? You play somewhere else. That's a pretty difficult road game. I think Utah comes to Lubbock next year. In fact, you know what we're going to do? 2025 Texas Tech football schedule. Let's go look this up, shall we, ladies and gentlemen? Why not? Again, we don't know when you're going to be playing some of these teams, right? You don't know exactly when. Let's go ahead and look at this, shall we? As we take that ad off the screen for you guys. There you go. So you're going to play Arkansas Pine Bluff, as I mentioned, Kent State, then Oregon State. You go to Houston. That should be a dub. Arizona State and Kansas State are definitely tough. You got BYU at home. Obviously, you feel a lot better about playing at home in that situation. I don't know why I have this like this on the screen. I apologize. You play Oklahoma State at home. You play Kansas at home. UCF at home. You go to Utah. I apologize. And then you play at West Virginia. So you play some difficult road games. I mean, if we're being honest about it, at Arizona State, at Kansas State, and at Utah, and then even at West Virginia, those are really difficult matchups. Like, let's just call a spade, right? Like, those are difficult matchups. If you go 2-2 there, though, right? Let's just say you go 2-2 there. There's a real scenario you go undefeated at home and you're 10-2. Like, I think that's definitely in the realm of possibilities because you should beat the absolute shit out of UAB and Kent State. Those are 2 of the worst programs in FBS. Oregon State, they're not what they were even just 2 years ago. Arizona State, they're going to be one of the favorites to win the Big 12. I think Kansas State will be as well. I don't know what to expect with Utah next year. I think they'll probably be picked to finish like 6th or 7th. West Virginia, what is that in terms of when do you get them? If you play them more early on, I think that's in your favor. I wouldn't mind going to Morgantown as the first Big 12 game because it's going to be early on in Rich Rod's tenure. I think I don't want to play West Virginia later on, also because it's going to be cold as hell there, but also because I think that they're going to have some things going on later on in the year. So hopefully they play West Virginia early on in the year. And then, BYU, they had a great run this year. They're a good football team. You should be favored at home against them. Oklahoma State, I don't know what the hell you are. Kansas, they get Jalen Daniels back, but they lose Devin Neal. UCF, Scott Frost is back, but you should be favored there. Just looking at it from a favored standpoint, right? You got 12 games there, 4 difficult road games, and then Houston. I would probably say you're probably favored in 9 of these games right now. And no, this schedule is not in order. It's not in order. So date, you can see the dates. The 3 at the top there, the Golden Lions, Golden Flashes, and the Beavers, those dates are set, okay? Everything else in terms of Big 12 play is not set yet. We won't know that until later on in the summer of 2025. But those are the teams that you for sure are playing because they've already released the Big 12 matrix. So those are the teams you're for sure playing, and where they're playing, you just don't know when you're playing them yet, if that makes sense. So pretty favorable home schedule. Again, you get BYU, Oklahoma State, Kansas, and then UCF at home to go along with those 3 should be dominant wins at top. You should go 7-0 at home, right? And then if you just go 3-2 on the road, boom, you're 10-2. And I think that's in the realm of possibility. Obviously, a lot of things can change and everything like that. But from a talent perspective, who has more talent right now today on their roster? Obviously, a lot of things can change and, they add players and everything and whatnot. But from a talent perspective, is there a team on that schedule that's more talented than you? The one that comes to mind first is probably Kansas State and Arizona State, those 2. Outside of that, I don't think so. Maybe I'm wrong, but call me a homer all you want, but that's kind of where I'm at. As I get back on the screen here, again, we've got about 113 people in here. Appreciate each and every one of y'all tuning in. Be sure to like the video, hit that subscribe button. It's 100% free content. I did the math again today. This is the 35th video I have put out, including lives and VODs this month. It is December 19th. So if you want 100% free Texas Tech content all year long, we'll be talking more about Texas Tech men's basketball here along the way as well. This is the place to be. 100% authentic, 100% honest takes. I may be wrong sometimes, people, but I'm going to keep it a buck with you every step of the way. I can promise you that. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. Everything's going to be authentic, and I think that's the way it should be when you have a platform like this. So if you want to be a part of that, all I ask you to do is simply like the video, hit that subscribe button, turn on that notification bell so you're instantly notified when a new video is posted here on the channel. It's the easiest 3 ways to help support the channel, and sincerely grateful for everybody that's tuned in. There's still a lot more to discuss. We'll be talking about the portal in terms of, I'll have a video out in terms of discussing all of the defensive portal moves. I'll have a video out discussing all of the offensive portal moves. I'll have a video out discussing realistic expectations for Texas Tech football after this portal cycle. We've discussed it, a little bit here on these lives, but I'll go more in depth on those videos. There's a lot more content around Texas Tech football. Men's basketball is starting Big 12 play here soon again. So if you want to be a part of the largest group of Texas Tech fans on YouTube, all I ask you to do is simply like the video, hit that subscribe button, and turn on that notification bell. Hour-long show. Appreciate each and every one of you guys. I worked overtime a little bit in terms of this month, still working, even through the holiday season, but y'all did too as fans, keeping up to date, watching all these videos, supporting the channel. Truly, truly means a lot. I'm going to head out on that and actually go crack a cold one and eat some dinner because, damn it, it is a great effing day to be a Red Raider. Every day is a great day to be a Red Raider, but some days are better than others. And these past 2 weeks, it feels like every day has just been the absolute best day to be a Red Raider, specifically for a Texas Tech football fan. So on that note, I'm going to head out. Appreciate each and every one of you tuning in. And as always, one more time, I know I'm annoying with it, but it really does help the channel. Be sure to like the video, hit that subscribe button, and turn on that notification bell to join the largest group of Texas Tech fans here on YouTube for 100% free Texas Tech videos all year round. and a couple more things. You know what to do. Stay safe and Ruckum Tech.